welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I review movies. In case you've never been here, I wanted to give you a heads up on what my goal is for this channel because it's especially important in this particular movie review. So my goal is to give everybody a heads up on the content that's in a movie, a video, and especially parents so that they can make informed decisions on what is appropriate for their kids or not if they have objections to certain content. My other goals are to help you save time and money so you don't waste your time and money on seeing terrible movies. I hate that. So with that preface, today the movie I'm reviewing is called After We Collided. This movie is rated R, and it's a sequel to a movie franchise that was PG-13 in the last installment. And it definitely jumps up a notch in terms of content that really would give it an R rating, specifically language. It's an hour and 45 minutes, and the movie review mom grade I'm giving it is... Now, I've noticed that some of you stop watching my videos as soon as I give you my grade rating, but I want you to hear why I'm giving it this grade, okay? So keep watching. So the movie review mom grade is D for dumb, and don't let your kids watch this movie. Okay, let me explain. I'll give you an overview and then I'll point out tips for parents, things I liked and then things I didn't like, okay? So first, in a quick nutshell, did you see the very first movie in this franchise called After? And if so, did you like it? If so, you'll be thrilled that the sequel is out. However, if you didn't like that one, you're going to hate this movie even more. You'll see the same actors reprising their roles as well as a lot of skin and steamy scenes, hear a ton of F-bombs, and meet a few more new characters. Honestly, as you can guess, I thought the very first movie, After, was really stupid. Obviously, I'm not the target audience for this film. In fact, the movie review mom grade I gave the first movie was a C for crap, meaning it was garbage. And unfortunately, I think this movie is worse. Now, that being said, I know there are people out there that have already watched this movie and said it's so much better than the first one. So it just depends on what your taste is and what you're going for. I know that there are going to be a lot of girls who think this movie is so romantic and charming, but as a mom, I can tell you it's garbage. So let me tell you why. Here are the tips for parents. First of all, there's some profanity and crude language, but the biggest thing that makes it a rated R is the language. There are a billion F-bombs. These are supposed to be, kids in college learning, and they cannot put a coherent sentence together without throwing in an F-bomb. So even a little boy in one of the scenes swears, and it's supposed to be adorable and hilarious, and it's not. As a mom, again, I don't think that's funny when little kids swear. But again, that's me. And just so you know, I have a sense of humor. I have 4 sons, and I've been laughing ever since the first one was born. And I love romantic movies. I love rom-coms. This is not a com for sure. It's a drama. But it's just, if I had daughters, and actually I have 2 daughters-in-law now, but if I had given birth to my own daughters, I would never want them to see this stupid movie. Okay, but anyway, I'm digressing. There are several bar and party scenes with people getting drunk and behaving badly. A woman does tequila shots off another woman's belly and then they kiss. There's talk of drugs. Neither of the protagonists in this movie ever consider the consequences of their actions. Maybe that's supposed to be charming. They're just being who they are, but there are consequences and they're never good. And then they get angry. And so maybe there's a lesson in that for your kids if they watch it, is think about the consequences. You see a naked guy's bum in a couple of scenes. You see a bunch of tattoos. You see an unmarried couple, the protagonists, the two of them, going at it many times in many places, many positions, and with sound effects. So again, you're not going to want your kids to see that. The main couple pretty much gets drunk every time they go out. They're either making out or getting drunk, seriously. And there's no like deep conversations or any part of their relationship that shows any depth whatsoever. I think in the first movie, it showed it more than in this movie. This movie, they're just foul mouthed and making out and all of that. Two girls actually get into a foul-mouthed cat fight in the middle of a party. And again, it's supposed to be funny and wild, and it's just stupid. In other words, there's a lot of trashy content that you don't want your kids to see, especially your daughters. You don't want them getting the idea that any of this behavior is acceptable. And yes, I'm old-fashioned. I believe that girls and women should be much better than what is portrayed in this movie, honestly. Now, some themes are love, friendship, and forgiveness, I think is probably the biggest theme. Addictions and addictive, toxic people that you surround yourself. In other words, the lesson is choose wisely the people that you surround yourself, because you become like them and they absolutely influence you and affect the quality of your life. Now, there were some things I did about the movie. And first of all was Selma Blair. I've always really liked her. And so I was disappointed that she's only in one very short scene. But later I learned that it's because she's actually quite ill. So I was glad that at least she was able to reprise her role to provide some continuity from the first movie. And hopefully she'll do well and feel better. And Selma, if you watch this movie, we love you. While I've never read the source material, I've heard that this sequel sticks much closer to it than the first movie. And by the way, I think that the story of how this movie came to be is a success story. It's written by a gal who was just a fan. It got picked up. People loved it. It turned into a movie. And so good for her. I'm just so impressed. She was a big fan of One Direction. And the main lead of the guy character, is loosely based on one of the guys from One Direction. Now, if you haven't seen the first movie, you'll get a quick glance of some scenes at the very beginning to kind of bring you up to speed. It doesn't totally ruin the movie if you haven't seen the movie. It helps, I think, just so you understand their personalities and their dynamic. And honestly, why they fell in love. Again, in this movie, they're just going at it. And so if you want to understand what's behind the physical attraction, then it's helpful to have seen the first movie. Trevor Matthews is one of the very few likable characters in the movie, and I thought he was played very nicely by Dylan Sprouse. Now, the lead characters are good, they're passionate and all of that, but let me tell you about some of the things I didn't like. Again, I think if you see the first movie, it will help you to appreciate these characters, because honestly, in this movie, they just come across as total jerks. In the first movie, yeah, there's a bad boy behavior going on, but at least the protagonist female starts off sweet and innocent and you like her. In this movie, she just kind of seems like a jerk and a hot mess. And so it helps to put some of that in context. In this movie, if I had only seen this movie, I would be asking myself, why do we like these characters? Why do we want them to be together? Why do we care about them? In other words, it's all based on physical attraction in this movie and nothing deeper. So many of the characters in this movie are just complete jerks with foul mouths, I think. If you've ever sent a manuscript, by the way, to a publisher, you'll be discouraged to see how gigantic that pile of submissions is, because Tessa works in this publishing house, which of course I'm interested in because I'm an author. And so I liked that part of the movie, seeing that world and seeing how it works in the office and all that kind of stuff. In one scene, it's a dumb scene, Tessa says that she and Hardin can't sleep in the same bed together without going at it because they've broken up, but they have to pretend because Hardin didn't tell his mother that they had broken up. And instead of being honest with the mother, they pretend. They get in the same bed, and she says, I would like to think we're not Neanderthals. Well, nope. A few minutes later, they prove that they are. Because they go at it. And all of this happens in the room right next door to where the mom is. Now, again, I recognize I'm old fashioned, and a lot of you people will think, what is she, 120 years old or something? In my house, no unmarried people sleep in the same bed. That's just, I'm Christian. I believe that there are certain standards. But the mom doesn't seem to mind at all. In fact, she's thrilled. Anyway, another thing about Tessa and her character is she's this brand new intern at this publishing house, and she's only been there one day, and yet the next day this rich boss takes her out to go to this special event and wines and dines her, sets her up in this fantastic suite in a hotel. And the whole time I'm thinking, okay, that probably wouldn't be the owner's first choice. Surely there would be people higher up on the totem pole in the hierarchy at the office that would be invited to go. And if she is invited to go because she's supposed to help network and, be helpful at this event, she's not. She, guess what, gets drunk and makes terrible choices. So how was that helpful? Tessa and Harbin attend this acrobat yoga class accidentally. And of course, everything is sexualized every time they're together. Again, there's no depth. It's just straight for attacking each other. And then one time it's in the shower and the phone rings and her cell phone's in the shower. And I'm like, who brings their cell phone in their shower? You need to have a break from your cell phone. Another really dumb thing about Hardin is he gets drunk, of course, and he yells at his father, don't you have any sensitivity whatsoever? Which is pretty ironic because he screams that in front of a crowd at a party at his father's house that his father very graciously invited him to. So later, he gets drunk some more and smashes a bunch of dishes. So when Hardin is not horny or drunk, he's mopey and super angry and throwing things. I mean, seriously, why is Tessa interested in this guy? It just proves that he hasn't had any character growth since the very first movie. And when I review movies, I'm absolutely looking for character development. I want to see that character arc, some growth. And even with Tessa, I felt like she didn't grow, that she went backwards as well. So for those reasons and more, I have given it such a terrible score. Okay, enough of my rant. So I'll leave you with a really interesting line of the movie. And I think that this was absolutely fantastic, actually. So Hardin and his mom are talking about his father, her ex-husband, who, did apparently horrible things. And so she says, Hardin will not forgive the dad. I mean, that was the story in the first movie, and he still hasn't forgiven the dad. And the mom says, I've chosen to forgive him so I can move on. And I loved that lesson. That's such a powerful statement and such an important lesson in life. Okay, that's it for my movie review. Thanks for sticking to the end so you can find out why I gave it the rating that I did. When you get a minute, would you please subscribe? I've also noticed that a lot of the viewers of my videos haven't subscribed yet. So subscribe, ring that little bell, and you'll be notified every time I have some new movie reviews uploaded on my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your support. Okay, until the next movie review, bye for now.